Hello, welcome to Springfield Update. I am State Representative Grant Wehrli, representative from the 41st House District, encompassing much of Naperville and a little bit of Warrenville. Today we are coming to you from the gallery overlooking the Illinois House floor in your capital. I'm honored to have two guests with me here today, Nikki Anderson, Chairman and CEO of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce, and Rosemarie Bresky-Garvey, Chairman of the Board of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Nikki, you took over as head of the chamber about a year ago. How's that been going for you?
It's been really a great experience. We've come a long way. We've done some great things within the chamber just from an infrastructure standpoint. But every day at the forefront of everything that we do is our members. Whether it's something that is legislative in nature or just finding ways that we can be a solid resource for our members.
Okay, and you are not new to Naperville. Give us a little bit of your background in town.
I am not new to Naperville. I've been in Naperville most of my life. I owned a business in Naperville for 20 years. I sold it about 3 years ago, and when I was, if you want to call it retired, this opportunity came up with the chamber. During the course of my business, I was very active in the chamber. I sat on the board back in the latter 90s, early 2000s. I've always been very passionate about the chamber and the role that it plays in business. So when I was offered the opportunity to work as a CEO, I thought that the timing was perfect. I had a lot of business experience, but I think what I bring to the table that perhaps has not been done in the past is that I can relate to a lot of our members. I've been in business, I've been active in business, and I know really what goes into making a business successful.
Excellent. And Rosemarie, your background and your involvement with the chamber is the chairman of the board now.
Absolutely. So I got involved with the chamber when I was young as a member of the Young Professionals of Naperville, which was great. Fantastic group of people, some of whom I'm still so pleased to call my dearest friends today. I kind of worked my way up. The chamber gives a really unique opportunity to become involved, to be an advocate for the business community, and that really resonated with me. So as I went on about my career, I'd spent some time with BMO Harris Bank. Now I work for Blooming Color. Going from big corporate to small business has been fantastic, and the chamber's really helped me grow in that. And I'm just so pleased to be chairman, especially this year. Nikki's taken the reins and done a great job. It's an exciting time here in Springfield with the new governor, so there's just new things happening all the time, and we're really excited for the momentum for 2015.
Excellent. Now, the Naperville Chamber is one of three, I believe, five-star chambers in the state of Illinois. What does that mean?
That means that we are officially accredited by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And what does that really mean? That means that we really are upheld to the highest standards of what a Chamber of Commerce is. We function well. We take good care of our members. We have a big advocacy component of what we do. Obviously, we're here with you today and spend some time in D.C. as well. And to be among what really is only 1% of chambers nationwide to have that five-star accreditation, something that we're very, very proud of.
1%, that is pretty impressive. For the past couple of years, you chaired the Legislative Committee. Talk to me, as we are here in our state's capital, what does the Legislative Committee do, and what's your intent of having that committee?
Sure. So the Legislative Committee is the advocacy piece of what the chamber encompasses, right? So we spend time down here talking to folks like you, our legislators, talking about things that are important to the business community. We've got a set of legislative priorities that we've had for years at the chamber, things that have really been important to us. One of those that we backed for a long, long time, and we're so pleased to see changes now, is pension reform, something that's very, very critical to our state, to our school districts, to everybody who's a taxpayer, which is everyone in the state of Illinois. So as we move forward and we really kind of took the helms of that in Naperville, being down here and having that voice was really important. And I think that resonates with our members. Again, something we're very, very proud of.
Okay, and how often does the Legislative Committee meet?
We meet once a month over at the Hotel Arista in Naperville. It's the second Monday of every month. We've got a steering committee who also meets, and we kind of plan and take care of the agendas for what we're going to be covering. We've got our ears to the ground here in Springfield, locally as well, making sure that we stay on top of issues that can affect the business community. So really, it's kind of an ongoing thing all the time.
Excellent. Now, Nikki, I've known you for quite some time, and to say you're new to the political arena is a safe statement, I believe. Tell me, why is it important that your chamber members pay attention as a small business owner or large business owner to what's going on at the local, state, and federal level?
I think that was what came as the biggest surprise to me, is really, I'm going to reiterate what you said, and that is, everything that goes on here impacts our businesses. And the more that I learned, I realized it doesn't matter what size business you are, we need to pay attention, because in some way it's going to impact your business, whether personally or professionally. So it's really my charge when I came into the chamber. I said, I really want to bring in the 75% of our members who are not involved in Ledge at all. We have the 25% that are involved in Ledge are very passionate, and sometimes it's speaking to the choir. That's how I felt. So it's like, how can we bring in that 75% of people that don't think the issues pertain to them? So we're working to put together a 101 for our members to say why legislation matters to you, why you need to pay attention. Again, going back to whether you're a mom and pop on Main Street or you're a large company, the large companies get it, but the small companies think it doesn't pertain to them. So I really want to just kind of change that mindset, shift their paradigm a little bit, and teach them why it's important to pay attention to legislation.
Excellent. Now, I understand the Naperville Area Chamber is going to have some legislative priorities, and I don't know if those are out there officially yet, but maybe you could talk to me a little bit about those priorities and what you plan to do to influence legislation.
Sure. One of the ones that we're focused on most closely right now would be taxation, kind of as a whole. We're very supportive of a fair tax climate, and so as we go forward into 2015, and we hear things like service taxes or hearing about things that might be new sources of revenue here on the state level, those are things that are critical for our business owners, both large and small. So that's certainly a piece that we follow very closely. Workforce development then goes hand in hand with that very closely as well. We want Illinois to be a place where people want to come and do business. Again, whether you're a large or a small business owner, this is a place that we know and love, but yet it's not exactly the most competitive place to own your business sometimes. So we're very critical of workforce development here in Naperville as well, and so, in Illinois as well. So those are probably the top two that we follow consistently, and this year more than ever, that's going to be so important as we see the changes come through with the governor's new budget and what that means for the state.
And how are you going to get that information out to your members? How are they going to how are you going to get them involved in this legislative process?
Talk about your conduit.
I think it's what we're doing right now. I serve as the voice between our members and Springfield or Washington. So my job is to really listen, to reach out to our members. One of the things that we're going to do is when we get back, we're going to share a video that we were here, and your issues matter to me, so help me be your voice in Springfield. Help me be your voice in Washington by sharing any concerns you might have with information that can impact your business. And so that's one way of reaching out. We're going to get to not just the legislative group, but we're going to get to our general members who forget sometimes that we are always working on their behalf. We are their voice when it comes to Springfield and Washington.
Excellent. Well, and now here we are the day after the governor's budget address. I would say for the last 12 years, we've had some fluff-toast governors present their budgets. And now we have a dramatic change. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts on it. I mean,
half-hour show, so let it go.
It was interesting because when the budget was read, you heard people going, I'm aghast, I can't believe this has been changed, or this is great. The reality is we learned about this when he was running for governor. I'm going to have to make hard decisions. I'm going to be making tough decisions. But at the end of the day, it's going to be bringing Illinois back on track, making us more competitive, making it more a desirable place to live. We heard that before. We knew that it was going to be tough, that he was going to have to make decisions that wouldn't be popular. But at the end of the day, if it's going to make Illinois stronger, if it's going to make it more competitive, if it's going to make businesses more successful, small or large, that's something that we have to stand behind.
And I would really echo the same. It was really nice to see when he was standing at the dais yesterday talking about these changes and such a forward-thinking thought process about what change means and challenging you and your colleagues, right? That this is the time. It's no longer one side of the house versus the other. It's everyone coming together to make decisions that are really critical. So I know that's not going to be easy for a lot of folks that sit on the floor either. But again, we are encouraged and we are excited for the changes that are coming. It's just going to make Illinois a more competitive business climate, and that's fantastic.
I think if I could interject, one of my favorite lines is that it's about the next generation, not the next election. Mm-hmm. And I felt that was poignant because going back to your statement, it's everybody coming together and what can we do to make our state desirable and profitable.
Okay, as a chamber, what would you like to see specifically the governor address? I mean, we talk about workman's comp, unemployment insurance, things like that. Mm-hmm. What specifically are some of the issues moving forward?
Mm-hmm. When we take a look at some of our larger businesses, we look at things like tort reform, right? When someone files a lawsuit and when that goes through the legal system, it can be very, very costly for businesses. So taking a look at that, I think is really important, and that's a part of his plan. And then really something that affects all businesses, taking a look at workers' comp legislation. We were down here several years ago talking about that same thing, and there were some changes made to those rules, if you will, then. And really we did not see the lift that we thought we would several years ago. So I'm encouraged again to to hear that that's going to be changed in a big way. And again, large or small, you want to take care of your employees, right? But at the end of the day, making sure that that's fair as well for the business owners is important.
So, Rosemary, earlier you talked about workforce development, and now this Governor Rauner's proposed an increase in funding to education. Tell me how those two work hand in hand.
That's really an exciting piece of the address yesterday. So when we take a look at the fantastic educational system that's here, you've got the University of Illinois down the street, great institutions for education here. Well, what happens to those students who graduate, who aren't that much younger than myself, who get a great education, and then they decide they want to go work somewhere else? They want to go open their business somewhere else because they know that Illinois is not in a sound financial place. Those things matter. Changing the state, changing what we do, putting more money toward education through for the K-12 level, helping our folks who are here in universities be educated here, stay here, help make that state a better place. That's the crux of it for me. It's a very exciting time to hear that we want to educate people and have them stay here. Again, all that does is help the greater good, and that's what I'm most excited about.
Excellent. So I believe in accountability in government. I think it's important that people hold their elected officials responsible, so this is the part of the program that makes me a little nervous. I'd like to extend to each of you an opportunity to ask me a question.
So one of the things that came up during campaign season, if I can go back to that for you and your colleagues, was the service tax. And so we had all known that Bruce Rauner was obviously an advocate of that, and I know that's going to be a very difficult thing for you folks to judge. We obviously have a certain position on that, but I'd be curious to have your thoughts about what you might think that debate looks like going forward as you help to make the right decision for the state.
Well, I think in order to get to the increase in revenues, first we need to look on the cut side. You know, for decades now we've just expanded state government. So I understand that some people want to take what I consider to be an easy solution, and that's just expand the tax base. And we may get to that, but I will not be supporting anything along those lines until I see some dramatic, logical, move us forward type cuts across all areas. So a service tax specifically, I'm going to wait to see what that legislation is. I know other states are doing it, and they're successful at it. I understand the finances of broadening the base. So at the appropriate time, there will be, I'm sure, a lively and robust discussion on this House floor about that. But right now, I'm looking on the cuts side first. So now the one that really makes me nervous. Nikki.
Now I might surprise you. I have 140 not-for-profits that are members of our chamber. I've already been getting calls about cuts that are going to dramatically affect the way that their businesses run. How would you speak to analyzing those cuts and how those are going to be made? I mean, because to all of the not-for-profits, everything they do is important, is valuable. So what are your thoughts?
Well, we need to remain compassionate for the services that those nonprofits provide. I mean, there are people out there that truly need the help, and we need to make sure that those people continue to get the services they need. Whether it be nonprofits or in the public sector here, consolidation is something that we are looking at. We can still remain efficient and deliver those services, but are we duplicitous anywhere? Are people doing the same thing? Can we combine efforts and continue to provide excellent high-level services, but do it in a more efficient financial manner? So we need to continue to invest where we need to. However, we also need to be better at it in how we allocate those dollars. So we now have a mayor who is retiring after 20 years. Mayor Pradle, an icon in Naperville. What are your thoughts on him, on his service, on what he's done for the community, on where do we go from here now?
You know, it's ironic because we're here and so much has changed in the last year with a new governor and a new vision for him. And I think it ties to Naperville. I mean, this is going to be a really great year. Maybe in some instances a scary year, but anytime anything's new, you're going to sit back and kind of wait with bated breath. But the mayor, I've known him since I was little. I mean, we grew up with him, and I think what I love most about him is his consistent dedication to our kids. He is so passionate about making sure that the kids grow up in a healthy environment and have all the options that they need to thrive and grow up and be productive adults and giving adults. I think that is a message that he always conveyed, is that, it's not just about getting, it's about giving and what you can do for your community. So my hope is that the next mayor that comes in still has that attitude of gratitude about living in a community that really does give back, makes the right decisions, sometimes, again, making hard hard decisions that I think sometimes our current mayor had a hard time doing. So, having a new mayor come in might be making tough decisions, but at the end of the day, the hope is that it will just benefit our community and make it even stronger and better than it is.
And I guess I'll touch perhaps on the council side of that, since Nikki's words were so eloquent about the mayor. Such an unprecedented time for Naperville, right? Every seat open for election, so many people with the willingness to serve, and we always thank them for their service, just like you, right? Now you're there, now you're here. At the end of the day, it is such a critical vote, just like it was critical for Illinois when the governor race. It's a critical vote for Naperville. What does it mean going forward? You've got folks who are going to be in seats for 4 years, going to be in seats for 2 years. What does that mean when the entire council could turn upside down? So again, just so important for voters in Naperville to pay attention to who those candidates are, on what platforms they're running, and what their vision is for the future of what is really such a fantastic city.
So, your stay here in Springfield, what has been the highlight so far? What's your takeaway from this time down to Springfield?
Well, if I could access my inner political nerd, which is like totally my outer political nerd, I guess, at the same time, being here for the State of the Budget address was a very cool thing. It's the same thing that you watch on TV and that you follow on Twitter, and you get the sound bites. But to be here in the room, to feel the energy, to know, again, it's such a critical time, and to be sitting in the gallery, hearing him speak, watching your reaction and that of yours, of your colleagues as well. What a fantastic memory to walk away from Springfield with. And again, it just really signifies the importance of what it is that you do on a daily basis, and how critical each of those decisions are to the populace of Illinois.
I would have to say I'm most proud to see you here.
Thank you.
Just to say, this is a councilman that worked tirelessly on behalf of the city, and that wasn't enough. You wanted to do more, and just showing what the power of wanting to make a difference really makes, because here you are, and because of that, here we are. And I would echo what Rose said. Just being here for the budget address and watching the interaction and the responses from people, being here, being in it is pretty powerful, and it was an honor, truly.
I understand you had the opportunity yesterday to meet with our Lieutenant Governor, Evelyn Sanguinetti, who is a former councilman in Wheaton. How'd that go?
It was excellent. She was so gracious with her time. We were with her for almost 30 minutes, and it was just nice to have a conversation. As you know, she'd been out to Naperville several times during the campaign, once with Bruce, and then she also came to a YPN event in Naperville, and did an intro and a meet and greet with some of the young people during the campaign as well, talking about the issues that were important to her and Bruce. And so to come back and to see her here sitting in the new office with her staff and her blank walls as they continue to get adjusted to their new positions was great. She was, again, very gracious, talking a lot about the transition from the old guard, if you will, to Bruce's team now, and just what an exciting time that is, and again, talking about the opportunity of what that presents for the state of Illinois. So really fantastic.
And did you talk specifically about any chamber issues with our Lieutenant Governor?
Yesterday we mentioned a bit, we talked about the same kind of thing, that we championed pension reform for a long time, and so we were pleased to hear about the reforms that were in the budget address yesterday. But really, aside from that, that's always kind of been the gorilla on everyone's back from a financial perspective. So
I think, too, I just want to add that what I was really impressed with is her passion for being very, very involved. The joke was, Lieutenant Governor, what? What do they do? And she really wants to make it her charge to be a very hands-on Lieutenant Governor. Our governor has already given her assignments of things to get involved in, and she's really excited about it. She wants to be active. She wants to be part of making a difference and making Illinois strong again.
President Nikki Anderson of the Chamber of Commerce and Chairman of the Board, Rosemary Bresky-Garvey, thank you for joining me here today. That's it here from the gallery overlooking the Illinois House floor in Springfield. Thanks for joining us today on Springfield Review.